We're on our way to Indianapolis Raceway Park and passed by the Indianapolis Speedway, which of course had nothing going on at this point. The weather forecast was for light drizzle. After spending the night in Indianapolis, we were surprised the next morning to find everything snow-covered, which had not been in the forecast. But everyone headed out to the race course anyway. I believe this was the first sports car race held at Indianapolis Raceway Park. It was peculiar. We couldn't park at the track, so we had to park in remote parking, and a bus carried us over the track. And as we approached the track, about 50 people ran out to meet the bus and get on. That should have been a clue to us, because we all got off and stood around in the wind and the snow and started hoping for the next bus to get back to our cars. It was terrible. The wind was blowing, it was snowing. At times visibility got so poor they had to stop the practice and the races. There was mud everywhere. Fortunately, there were a few places you could walk, but it was not perfect race spectating weather by any means. This would have been in the early 60s. Must have been miserable for the drivers. It was certainly miserable for the spectators. One thing about race drivers and sports car race spectators is they're diehards. Any rational humans would have called this thing off. I don't know how long I stayed here photographing these races, but they eventually did call the race off, and we all started trying to get out of the place. I made a classic mistake. Instead of checking into a motel and waiting out this blizzard, I tried to get back to Chicago. It blew and it snowed, and the roads got worse and worse and worse. And eventually I had to stop because the road was blocked. Somebody didn't know how to drive, had gotten sideways in the road, and we straightened him out, and he immediately got sideways again. So we all went back to our cars and spent the night there in the middle of the fields in Indiana. I think there must have been 1,000 cars stranded on this with this unexpected April blizzard. I can say one thing: the little white Volkswagen there heater didn't work all that red hot. Although I didn't die, but it was nippy. That's something you don't think about when you start talking about how good a traction your car has. It doesn't matter how good your car is. The cars ahead of you and behind you get stopped. You're stopped anyway. We really couldn't move. Fortunately, I had extra clothes and coats and everything in the car. The next morning, they came through with earth-moving equipment, clearing the road to get us out. I figured I might as well photograph the bulldozer. I wasn't going anywhere anyway. The wind was still blowing pretty strongly, but at least the snow had stopped. Well, in some of the cuts, the cars had snows up to the windows. Maybe, in fact, I think in a few places the cars even got covered in low spots. Traffic wasn't moving too fast this day, which I think was a Monday. Finally, the traffic thinned out, and I was moving along. In fact, I was rather amazed at how clear the roads were at times. But it turned out one road